Early voting is underway in Queens and on Long Island in the race to replace disgraced Congressman George Santos.
That's right, PIX11, your local election headquarters. We are watching this race particularly closely because it could really change the balance of power on Capitol Hill. Joining us this morning to talk about this and more, former Long Island Congressman Lee Zeldin to weigh in on the race and what it means for Republicans. So good to see you, Mr. Zeldin.
Great to be with you.
Great to talk to you. So let's talk about the congressional race in District 3 in particular between Mazi Pilip and Tom Suozzi. Throw up some numbers from our latest poll right here with our partners over at Emerson College showing that Suozzi has a slight lead. I don't know if we have the numbers for you, but it's 50% to 47% right there. So a real tight race. It's a swing district. Long Island in the past has been going red. What do you think has to happen when you look at these numbers just to get Mazi Pilip over that hump?
Well, it means that both sides will go into Election Day with enough available support to win. It's about who does a better job getting their people out. This is a district not used to voting in the middle of February. For a federal election. It's something that just doesn't ever happen. So you have to get people out who just have never come out to vote in a congressional race in February. Both sides will have enough available support. It's really been that way since the beginning. The first time all of us were having conversations when the candidates were announced, the field was set, we were saying that this really is a toss-up race that could go either way. You know, on one side you have Suozzi, who was representing the district in Congress, more money, so you'll see more ads on TV, the voter registration advantage. With Mazi Pilip, you have somebody who, in a way you could say, his advantage hasn't been in Congress, more of a newcomer. And the ground game. The Nassau County Republican Committee, led by Joe Cairo, is extraordinarily strong. I saw that during my race. This is a district in 2020. Joe Biden won by about 8 points. In 2022, I think we won it by about 12. We saw this swing in 21, 22, 23, trending right. Let's see how it might continue in 24.
One of the big issues is the migrant crisis right now that's being mentioned a lot. Do you think that's one of the deciding factors here? Absolutely,
and all over. This is a recent issue emerging as a #1 issue for many. I remember during our race, which is just going back to November of 22, people were talking about crime and they were talking about the economy. People were still talking about the end of COVID. But people weren't talking as much about what was going on at the southern border. Even though the issue was starting to emerge, it really showed up more into New York City after that. And now for many voters who might not have had it in a top 5 list, they have it as their #1 issue. And it is crossing over with other issues. So if you were concerned about crime, and then in the middle of this battle, you see what plays out with an NYPD officer getting attacked and no bail getting asked by the Manhattan District Attorney. This is a district that is North Shore of Nassau, some of Queens, and a district where everyone cares about what's going on inside of New York City, and they're getting their news from New York City. So and that is certainly driving message.
It is, and so when you look at the debate last night, right, Mazi Pilip was questioned about this and what exactly she would do. There weren't a lot of specifics from her side of the aisle. I know you only watched a fraction part of the debate here. Are you looking for more specifics from her?
Well, I've fortunately have been able to spend enough time over the course of many years to be watching this issue play out, to know and see both President Trump and President Biden both showed the enormous power that the president has, that the executive branch has, the administration has, to be able to deal with this. When President Biden came into office, he made decisions, he campaigned on them, which stopped construction of the border wall. They ramped up catch and release. They got rid of the Remain in Mexico policy. He got rid of Title 42. And he has powers to be able to close back the border, basically reversing some of his own actions and decisions. The idea that President Biden can't do any of this stuff unless Congress, for the first time in decades, can figure this out.
But it does say something that Congress needs to do something, right? And needs to work together in both parties, right? There needs to be some sort of bipartisanship. You saw this play out. The Republican Party suffering this major blow this past week, trying to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. That failed, right? There was the Israel and Ukraine deal that failed. So when you look at it overall, what does there need to happen in Congress to bring some unity and get things done with Republicans and Democrats?
Well, this is something that has evaded Congress, to be honest, when we've had a Republican president, Republican House, Republican Senate, a Democratic president, a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and basically every combination thereof, going back to the Bush administration. There hasn't been that big immigration bill. So what I spent my 4 terms in Congress working on, and as it related to any of these immigration issues, is where can we find common ground at all? Rather than holding hostage areas where there's agreement, in order to get through where there's the most amount of controversy and there's the most amount of dispute, what ends up happening is you end up getting nothing done. So I would encourage Congress, regardless whoever's in charge at any given time, pass what you can agree upon and save the higher controversial items for another day when you can actually figure out how to get something over the finish line. We'll see what Congress is aligned at, who the president will be, fast forward to 2025. But as of now, with this Congress and this president, this alignment, I don't see a big immigration bill getting done in 2024.
You know, we can still hear that fire in your voice, that you wanted to make some change in Washington. Any chance you would run again?
It's not something that's on my mind. I'm happy to be here today, not as an elected official, not as a candidate, but just like you all and your teams and all of us, our family, our friends, there's a lot of people who are concerned about what's going on in our local community, in our state, in our country. We follow what's going on, and regardless of whether I'm a candidate or not, it's something that I care about. I still serve in the military. I love it. Started up a charity a year ago. We've been involved in a project called the Dakota Project, putting out 108,000 pieces of cold weather apparel, working with Arctic's apparel.
Wow.
And the best part, this is the only thing worth bragging about. My daughters have been able to have a dad over the course of the last year and a half before they go off to college. They're graduating in June. That's been the best part, the silver lining of being able to have this moment outside of elected office.
But not ruling out a run for Senate, New York Senate?
It's something I am not thinking about.
Okay.
We're thinking about the girls.
That is absolutely true. It's great to be with you guys.
Appreciate you
time.
being here. All right, we'll talk to you soon.